Hey, you know
Oh
what? We're
no.
going live like 2 or 3 seconds early, 7:59 and 59 seconds. No, it's 8 o'clock. All right. Hey,
There we
everyone.
go.
Happy Sunday night and welcome to another installment of Sunday Night KloobySnack. Snack time, I
Yay.
guess. Yeah, right. I'm here with Abby Kloobek. And it says Abigail on the birth certificate, but that's that. This is this. Abby
Who cares?
Kloobek. And every Sunday night we've been doing this, and we're a quarter way through. It's a special night tonight because we are
Yes, it is.
completing. Yeah, we've got 52 KloobySnacks in this book. They're 52 of my originally authored motivational quotes, and then I partnered with my daughter, who I respect immensely, to get some insights on these motivational quotes. Like, do they land? Do they resonate? Do they make sense? Are they hip? Are they too daddy? Or are they what I mean? Like dad jokes, the motivational version of a dad joke. Let me have it, Abigail, I said. Be as critical as possible. And next thing you know, I don't know, Abigail, what happened?
We had a book.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
Yeah. So Abigail has written journal-style responses to 48 of the 52. And the way this sets up is there's 13 per baker's dozen, right? That makes 52. And then the 13th. So tonight, KloobySnack number 13. And then, 12 weeks from now, number 26 and 39 and 52. I wrote the write-up in response to the snack. But why don't we do a review, Abigail? Let me go ahead and screen share, and I'll let you handle that part. Give me a second here. Let me set you up to be able to. What am I doing here on the video? Let's get you. Let's focus. All this. I'm doing technical direction. There's you. There's Abby. And I'm going to get ready to put the snacks. We're going to go 1 through 12. You'll review these for us. And let me make sure I'm set up to screen share properly. There we go. Okay. And we'll get into this. And it's like I'm nervous, actually, because when we were working on the book, I was crying a lot. It was a very, very emotional project. So just from the top, if you're following along at home, we had some advanced praise. Lots of advanced praise, in fact. And I wrote an introduction, and the design is nice, the bakery flavored, bakery themed design. And I wrote some dedications, and then Abigail wrote some dedications. And then Marianne wrote the foreword for the book, which is really just the recipe for the original KloobySnack, which is her homemade cookies. But now my motivational quotes have caught up. And I wrote this really emotional introduction. Because once I realized, it's long, I guess, but once I realized that you were going to be writing the responses to the snacks, like everything I had to say, never mind about the snacks themselves. But now what I'm commenting on is this project that we've been engaged in. And anyway, so here we go. Are you ready to review all of the snacks in the loving flavored?
Can you chime in when needed?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll match your pace. I'll match your pace, and I'll pay very close attention. And I'm just going to be toggling back and forth between scrolling and putting up the banners. So it's technical direction, but I'm listening. Go ahead, take it away. Let's do the review.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 1, first week we had. When you really need to keep it together, love is the best adhesive.
I like that. I like this.
Like loving flavor.
Yeah, I like this little word right here, all. When you really need to keep it all together, love is the best adhesive. Yeah, that's a good one.
True. Very true. Shall I say more?
Yeah, I mean, however you want to do it. I'm just listening for, I want you to go ahead and do the review. And if you want to elaborate on any of these, or if you want to ask me to summarize any of them, or we could just list them off and get to 13. Yeah, it's up to you.
Just a little improv. Number 2, we had I will always love you more than I will ever miss you, which is one of the more sappy ones my dad and I have come to find since writing the book.
I don't know about heavy is the word I use, right?
It led us to some very sappy conversation.
Okay. All right. Maybe your sappy is different than my sappy, which is one of the great things about this project is getting me more hip to the intergenerational jam. So what do we have for number 3?
Very hip. Number 3, we have. I'll flip on my page too. Number 3, if it were up to me, it would be called profrontation, which was, as my dad says, a little play on the pro and con, and how confrontation is actually a good thing.
When it's done positive. Well, anything can be good or bad. Yeah, absolutely. But I like to play on the irony of the words there. Indeed,
yes.
Yeah.
So, Number 4. waiting for you to scroll. There we go.
Okay.
I would. I was waiting. I would rather fail in my commitment to loving than succeed in my commitment to suffering, which is one that we changed.
Yeah, this one's an icon of me not being so committed to my ideas and making all the space in the world for your input, your interpretations, and and it's interesting too because one of the KloobySnacks, I think it makes it into another section of the book. I'll preview it real quick. Surrender is not the same thing as defeat, right? So and a lot of times there's an ability to fight another fight, or there's something strong about surrender, and that's ironic as well. Same thing with tonight's KloobySnack. That KloobySnack I just mentioned, surrender is not the same thing as defeat, usually gets paired with the one that we're going to go over tonight. But in the book, again, we separated them because your input, you didn't want them together. You thought they stood alone, and that's how we did it. But this KloobySnack right here has been reworded more towards your interpretation of it,
Yes.
and the words that you thought were better. Indeed, and
Yes.
it was a good experience for me.
And I like how it turned out. I like it.
All right. So then moving on, number 5.
We have give me some scroll time. There we go. It takes as much confidence to be led as it does to lead. Which I think this one was very thought-provoking for me. And with the whole idea of like the loudest voice in the room is not always the smartest or strongest or any other of those words. Yeah,
and then
that's what I took away.
Tethering it also, right? Like say, hey, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, or if you're, the loudest isn't necessarily the best leader, if you will. Those are great lessons, but also tying it to the theme. These are loving flavored KloobySnacks. And so one of the operating definitions of love is the willingness to be vulnerable. Again, we're going to talk about it again tonight, but that's what this is all about. When we are willing to be led, we are willing to be vulnerable. It is actually a form of love to will yourself into somebody else's leadership and allowing somebody else to be the leader. Many people, and by the way, there's a colleague, Dorothy Enriquez, that I met at an Education 2.0 conference, and she says, we lead from whatever seat we're in. And most people want to make a contribution, whether they see themselves as the leader or not. But a real leader knows how to know when to be led, and it really comes down to love and that willingness to be vulnerable. All right, how about that? Number 6.
How about that? How about that, Apple? Number 6, we have, when possible, replace statements with questions. And in regards to like the loving category, questions create connections. Questions show interest. Questions are amazing to ask and to receive. So,
yeah, and I think it's fun how I think that you had like your own KloobySnack within the KloobySnack here.
Yeah, you highlighted during this conversation. You highlighted quite a few that you saw.
Yeah. So, judgments are a powerful force, right? Especially the preconceived ones. Like, yeah, Abigail, your writing has just been wonderful to consume through the project. So number 7.
Being real is about being truthful to what is known. Being vulnerable, however, is the courage to learn more about what is true.
Yeah. This goes back to like emotional fight or flight response, right? Or ego defense. Right. So the same way that we'll flinch or swat at a buzz by our ear, even if it's a fly instead of a bee, like even if it's a non-threat, we're still hardwired to protect ourselves. So we'll swat and duck automatically at the perception of a threat. Well, same thing with information. When information comes to us that is different than our sense of self, we might want to attack or ignore it as well. And then so that's a little bit of an elaboration on that snack right there. All right. Number 8.
There you go. Everybody is important if we take the time to know their importance.
Yeah, this is a good one. This started off as part of my critical thinking lecture in a public speaking class decades ago. And it's overcoming one of the barriers to critical thinking, which is self-interest. Right. And so people think the only things that are interesting are the things that they're already interested in. And I used to ask my students, how many of you are done becoming interested in things? And nobody raises their hand. But then they look within when we realize how readily we attack or ignore new information. And it started off, this quote originally was, everything is interesting except what we fail to create an interest in. But Abigail, I think that you were brilliant again in taking it from everything to everyone and really showing more of an interest in humans rather than, like it's cool to be interested in the world, but I just really love the conversation that we had this night and the example that you gave from your classroom and, the different politics and othering rather than making the effort to understand and be curious and lean in. I thought it's something that the world needs more of, is human beings leaning into one another with a curiosity and a disposition to understand rather than judge. So props to you, Abby, on that one. Number 9.
Oh wait, I flipped too far. Here's one of our favorites to say. How you're saying what you're saying is what you're really saying.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm saying that really fast, I'll throw an in fact in there, and it goes a little something like this. How you're saying what you're saying is, in fact, what you're really saying. And it was fun. Didn't we do like the John Loves Mary example? Did we put that on the board? And John loves Mary. John loves Mary. John loves Mary. It's the same 3 words every time, but how we're saying it completely changes the meaning every time. And so a lot of people want to judge themselves by the words they chose and not hold themselves accountable or be held accountable to the tone, the pitch, the rate, the nonverbal, the twists, the turns, the movements, the lookups, the lookaways, etc. All of that other stuff is saying way more than the actual words. I think there's a study at UCLA years and years and years ago about like communication, like less than 10% of all communication are the words, even though words in and of themselves have power and vibration and they mean a lot. But how we're saying what we're saying is, in fact, what we're really saying. All right. That takes us to number 10, Abby.
Oh, you scrolled too. Oh, no, you didn't. Sorry. Observers will make their own meanings unless we're proactive about the meanings we want made.
And even then, even when we're going out of our way, it's like such a frustration. It's like, hey, I'm trying to help you. I'm going out of my way to help and to look as if I'm helping. And sometimes you can't help somebody else's choice to make the meaning that serves their needs, their fears, their emotional addictions, their preconceived biases, the on and on and on and on. So it's one of the challenging aspects of communication, and we must not take these instances personally. We must always kind of work through. That's why feedback gives us the opportunity to understand if somebody got it, what we meant or not. And so we've got to always pay attention to and seek and honor feedback we receive and work harder at encoding our messages with the highest degree of possible chance that they'll be received the way that we're intended. But wow, message intended and message received, that's the essence of miscommunication. Yeah. All right. So number 11. Hey, it's always fun to stop at this picture.
I know.
All right, go ahead.
Number 11. If we can question our way to better relations, we can listen our way to success.
Yeah, listening is a form of love, because when we're listening, we're vulnerable, right? The other person might say something we disagree with, we don't like. The other person might ask a question we don't want to be asked, might, raise the burden of proof, on our behavior, might. So when we're listening, we're, quote, vulnerable, right? So I always taught to my students, listening is love, right? It takes love and courage to listen. It's effort. Listening, and that's why people confuse listening with hearing. Everybody, like hearing is not everybody. Hearing is physiological. You follow? Like what I mean is it's automatic. You don't. But listening is psychological. Listening involves intention and understanding and evaluating and responding. But hearing doesn't involve those things. If your eardrums rattle based on the sound and you've got the capacity to pick that up, that's a physiological process. But listening is definitely a psychological process, and the willingness is like a heart-based process. Am I willing to listen? Am I willing to create room for what the other person has to say? And so the best way to do it, in my opinion, is ask questions, right? That's the best path to listening, is to ask questions, right? And the better the questions you ask, the better stuff you get to listen to. All right. Number 12.
Number 12, last week we had, there you go. Sometimes doing what is most unexpected is what is most effective.
Yeah, and this is like, we see this picture here of you like sleeping on the big teddy bear that I sent you from somewhere around the world when I was on assignment somewhere. Australia. And I was probably in Australia or something like that. And also remembering, the second grade second grade memories of me visiting you on campus in class and interrupting your teachers' classrooms just to make sure that you got the best presents and had the biggest show and the biggest production and the whole thing. Except there was one teacher that didn't like it at all. But most of the time, your teachers let me shower you with goodness on Valentine's Day because you mean the world to me. How about that?
How about that, Apple?
So now this is an interesting thing. I'm going to keep my stuff together here. But we're going to move on to number 13, and this one completes the section of loving flavored. And this is the first KloobySnack in the book that I myself actually respond to. It's a little quirky how we came up with it, because at one point we didn't know if Abigail was going to finish in time, and so I'm like, all right, well, how about I write half of them? She's like, no, I can do it. I'm like, all right, how about I write one per? And we just were negotiating the backup plan in case, Abigail, you didn't get them all written in time. But
I think that's what really motivated me to write. When you were like, what if I write half of them? That just made me I was like, no. I'm like, wait, then I have to do it.
it's like, no, I love how you said it though too. No, Dad, they're already your motivational quotes. If you respond to your own quotes, it's too much, Dad.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, nobody needs that. It's there's enough. Yeah. So when you said you're I think I need to write half of them, I was just.
Well, and so I can't. My job is to not take that personally and find a way to agree with you, which is part of my growth and learning in this project. But what I am going to do here before I read it. But what I'm going to do here before I read it is create the bookend. So what I was able to write was the introduction to the loving flavored, and then I want to read this first. And we read this on week 1, right? We did it, but now I think as we're closing out this section, let's remind ourselves how we opened it, and it goes a little something like this. So eternal thanks to M. Scott Peck, who gave us the road less traveled, and thus my working definition of love: the willingness to be vulnerable so that either you or your beloved may grow. Add a nod to Eric Fromm, who first taught me the difference between having and being. And it seems that willingness isn't enough. The whole love conversation must focus on what we do more than what we want to do, wish to do, or are willing to do, but what we actually do. I can argue that we all have love, the capacity to know and feel love, to describe love, or to seek love, etc. But to be loving, with a focus on our own behaviors, it seems to me, is what deserves a little more attention if this world is going to get any kinder, especially before Abby steps out into it. See, that's the tear-jerking part. Did you see me quiver?
Yeah,
Did you see me?
Every time you've read it, that part's always been the...
Oh, boy. Oh, God.
You got it. You can do it.
Cutting the umbilical cord. Okay, so more of the be, less of the have. Willingness is required, but not sufficient. Here's a baker's dozen of loving flavored KloobySnacks. Over the years, Abby ate these up. So we'd already done the review of all 12, and that's the intro. And I think it's cool now. I'm ready to read KloobySnack number 13 and my response to it to close out the section. So the KloobySnack, as we've mentioned, is vulnerable is not the same thing as threatened. The baker's dozen number 13, the baker's dozen number 13 for loving flavored KloobySnacks brings us back to M. Scott Peck's offering on love, quote, the willingness to be vulnerable for either our own or our beloved's growth, end quote. Just because you can get hurt doesn't mean there is any immediate threat or attacker per se. This is why being loving is so difficult, because the imminent truth is that to love is to hurt and to love is to lose. This snack is about the hope that it's worth it, not to deny that love braves hurt, but that life braves hurt, and love is the great equalizer. Ideally, we're born of love, born into love, and love into our born. It feels like a lifetime of dad jokes, or that my life is one big dad joke, and how silly I've been in the face of challenges that beyond the surface are not very funny. Raising a daughter is hard, especially in the teen years. You will feel all through these pages both that she believes she is running the show, and she is, and also that I've shaped the path. She has picked up so much of what I've put down. Abby will tell you that she runs circles around both me and Marianne, but of the two of us, Abby will also tell you that it has been my job to set the boundaries, enforce the rules, confront the situations, threaten to look through the phone, etc. All of which puts me in jeopardy of my daughter hating me. Vulnerability is not the same thing as being threatened. This snack is usually paired with another that you'll find in the ego-flavored section. Surrender is not the same thing as defeat. I let Abby win all the time. She's the smartest person I know, and parenting her is a commitment to vulnerability. Giving in to her is so often my only legitimate choice. For the long term, the big game, the life one, love is the willingness to be vulnerable, and Abby will never know a love like mine for her. Sometimes the dad jokes get the last laughs. All right, there you have it. And then there's a note section here in the back where people could take notes on their favorite snacks or their thoughts in response to any of these snacks. We wanted it to be a workable project. And so as a preview, we're going to open up a new jar next week, ego flavored KloobySnacks. And we've got that to look forward to. So having done that, I'm going to stop sharing, and it's just me and you tonight. Abby, what'd you think? What are your thoughts? Yeah.
I think that this KloobySnack in terms of us is very representative of our relationship, and also the things that I think we've both learned or are learning to be willing to learn over the past few years, especially in recent times, where it always feels, not always, but for some reason it feels like one of us in any situation there's like a winner. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I have to let you win, or you let me win, and there's always been some sort of like, I don't know, just negative connotation with that. And I'm like, oh, like I'll let him win this one, or he let me win, and it's always been this weird kind of feud battle thing. I think, like, especially when my teen years hit, which you mentioned, which was very difficult. But I think that it's become a lot healthier recently, where it's, instead of being like, I'm frustrated, so I'll let you win, or I'm done talking about this, so I'll let you win. It's like, I love you, so I'll let you win, which I think has been seen on both sides within the past few years of our relationship. And I don't know if it's because it's like I'm leaving soon, or if maybe I'm just a little more mature now, or if it's the book or what it is. But yeah, we've been able to let the other person win without like gritted teeth or whatever. It's like, you know what, I love you, you win this one, instead of like, which I've seen a lot recently on both ends. I would like to pride myself in my ability to do that too, because it has been very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate what you're sharing. It's like, I wish we could eliminate any vibration of competition in the first place, right? Yeah. That's the ideal, like, and just, coexisting and being, right? But it takes an evolution. The thing about it, Abby, is like, I joke around with other adults that I speak with, and it's like, thank God I didn't have to wait till you were 30 years old and, 5 figures worth of therapy for us to like get to where we are now. Right. And and you said just now, like, I don't know if it's you're being more mature, or if it's this, or if it's the book, or if it's, well, we know that one of the KloobySnacks is that everything is multi-determined. Everything's so, you shape the path, you hope for the perfect storm, you hope for things to come together, you plant the seeds, all of the cliches apply, right? But back to the book, it's weird when you're reading live and you want to try to capture the right emotion, behind the read, especially for us when we're talking about how you're saying what you're saying is in fact what you're really saying. And so, at the end here, it's tough. It's, because the emotion swells for me, but I was wondering how you feel about this last little paragraph here, and in particular, the last line, because, like, you and I take a little bit of pride in the writing, so it feels like a lifetime of dad jokes, or that my life is one big dad joke, and then to end it with, but sometimes the dad jokes get the last laughs. It reminds me of, you remember Wreck-It Ralph? Right, that line in the movie Wreck-It Ralph, when the bad guy, because in every video game there's a bad guy, and he's like, hey, well, just because you're the bad guy doesn't mean that you're a bad guy. Just because you're the bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy. Anyway, so like, hey, just, I'm a dad joke, but guess what? Sometimes I get the last laugh. And so that's going on in this project. Yeah, you're maturing at a rapid rate. This project has accelerated that. It has put our relationship on different terms. You're more proactive in initiating conversation with me. You let me celebrate and share as well, more than you used to. And I think some of the tension in our conversation is I'm not like spring loaded, ready to feel attacked or ignored.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're spring loaded, ready to be held accountable for something or,
Yeah,
or questioned.
I think that weird, I don't know if competition is the right word, but whatever that tension was, I think it stemmed, maybe not entirely because everything's multi-determined, but from how similar we are. Because not only are just like daddy-daughter relationships complicated to begin with, but with how similar and different you and I are, and kind of the extremes of those similarities, it was difficult to kind of navigate that in a healthy way, and not feel threatened by being told, like, by being told that we were so similar, or sometimes you would, whenever you would outsmart me in any way, when I would, there's many times where I would like, oh, I've got him here, and they're like, this lie worked and it wouldn't work, and I was just like, it's something about that, I don't know, our similarities were just, it was something that I feel like I didn't necessarily like resent, but it was frustrating when I was younger, and then also like when I got older and it was more, they were more prevalent. But I think that now I think it's cool seeing the similarities we have. And I tell you about like when I use KloobySnack, or sometimes when I talk to my friends and I just like, wow, I sound like dad. And oh my, it's just like, but I think it's cool now. Whereas before, if I was told like, oh, you sound like your dad, I'd be like, what? Like, and I just wanted to like be my own person. But I think I've learned how to be my own person that still shares the same, not the
Yeah.
same, but similar, you know?
That's a theme. Like you can go ahead and be right when you say, Dad, you don't understand. You can totally be right about that, whatever the thing is that I don't understand, but we can't project that to a totality around my parenting. Like there are things I may not understand, and that doesn't mean we can't talk. That doesn't mean I can't attempt to understand. You can't, I'm capable of understanding anything that you want to sit and take time to explain to me. Right. And then even if you don't want me to understand the things that you don't think I understand, there's a whole lot I understand that I need to get to be your dad. So like for me, I'm just, I'm swimming in the roses around this project because it would like, I make a big deal out of surrender and give in and don't be so stuck in my ways and let Abigail and but it was the easiest thing in the world because it's like now I'm like, if I just get out of her way and do not mess with her interest in this project, she's going to learn more about me. And she's going to understand me in a way that I've been begging or, like yearning for. Right. And like little things like, hey, guess what? I'm on your side. Like, whoa. Right. It's like, anyway, so, to see your interpretations on the snacks and the validation, I feel like it's a broken record week to week, but it doesn't get old for me. But yeah, this is a good one. Vulnerable is not the same thing as threat. And a lot of people can talk about, vulnerability is power. And a lot of people are hip to that, be vulnerable, especially, artists for sure. They get it. But I think it's becoming more popularized, the notion that vulnerability is a strength, but still it's hard because we're hardwired to, we might know that vulnerability, but that doesn't mean we're being vulnerable. If that makes sense, right? And that's why I wanted to read that intro again, because it's focusing on the behavior. Like, am I paying attention? Am I putting my phone down and making eye contact when somebody is talking to me? Am I, these are the little things that add up to showing somebody with our behavior the love that everybody needs. So what else, Abigail? Yeah, go ahead.
Just want my not last. I don't know if it's, I don't know. I think the first time I noticed kind of this KloobySnack in play was when we were I guess when we were on the phone, over the phone, and I was like, the changing laughing to loving in number 4. What is the vocabulary? I'd rather fail in my commitment to loving than commitment to suffering. When I proposed wanting to change that, and you were open to it. Oh, crazy dogs. Yeah. But when I proposed me wanting to change that one and claiming that I had a better vision or idea for that, and you were open to it, I was like, wow. Because I feel like if this happened a few years ago, it would have turned into something. So I think that I don't know, there was a mutual appreciation for each other's brilliance throughout this project. And I wasn't threatened by things that you said that I personally couldn't or didn't come up with. And I think that you were so open to any changes or ideas that I had, which for me, I was like, what? Like, before I'd be like kind of nervous. I'm like, ooh, should I say something about this one? And I would say something and you'd be so open to it. And we would sit there at the table and bounce ideas back and forth, which was new for us. But I think that it taught us that it's so healthy and productive when we use our separate brilliance together instead of feeling, I don't know, threatened by the other person. So
yeah, I don't want to like undercut what you're sharing right there. I love it, but I want you to understand that again. It was easy for me. I'm like, oh yeah, Abigail, that's fine. Like no problem. Let's change it, because why put up a fight there and risk losing you for the whole project? I was on eggshells the whole time. You know, because remember, I'll never forget when we did the old. You're like, you want me to write 52 things? I'm like, hang on, right? You know, I was like, hang on. I was making room for you in this project and giving you all of the space in the world, and I'm just holding you accountable to your ideas. Now you need to let me, because I have a deadline for publication, and that was a risk on my part. There were several times where I thought I might lose you on the project, right? And so it's very interesting. But like in terms of like giving into rewriting a certain snack or letting you pick the 52 in the first place, or the more ownership I invited you to, then the more it became a co-authored thing. And it wasn't just something that I got a little bit of help from you on and then you went off on your way. But I wasn't going to get in the way of the lean in that you were showing to the project. It's like a lot of times if you hear me do KloobySnacks, I'm coaching somebody else, you're not paying attention, or I'm trying to teach you a life lesson and you're like, whatever, Dad, you know, half listening, right? Or rehearsing your own response in your head and not hearing mine because we're in the moment, right? And now like you're going to be like in your own calm Zen, you know, brilliant mind consuming these pieces of thought leadership, which, you know, I really want to step into, you know, saying, hey, KloobySnacks lead thought, you know, and I've seen it for you, but for me, it's like, it was easy. It's like, oh yeah, easy. Why would I dig my heels in on one word, on one KloobySnack, or a couple of words on KloobySnack? No way. Let's let it evolve. Let's see where this goes, because I'm hanging out with my daughter. And I didn't care about anything else. I just cared about hanging out with you. I just cared about interacting with you. I just cared about seeing how your mind works, what you think. And what I got in exchange for all of that was you bonding with your dad. And you know, really like, I don't know, like kind of, yeah, how you said it before, like feeling a pride in your command of this knowledge, of this intelligence that I'm trying to pass down to you. And then you were brilliant with like the whole passing on the family recipe. There's the cover. We're passing along the family recipe. So whether it's Mom's homemade cookies or my motivational quotes, we're sending you out into the world. Good stuff.
Only like 4 or 5. We're basically done with March, April, May, June, July, August.
Yeah, it's here before you know it. I'm afraid to blink.
April, May, June, July. 4 months.
25% of this year is over. 25%.
4 months.
Gone. Poof. It's already, because 13 times 4, 52. So 25%. We have 75% of the year left. So last call.
And 4 months till I'm gone.
Yeah.
Not that I'm happy about leaving, but I'm happy about leaving.
Oh, it's going to get more emotional
So
within
excited.
the, wait till the 89th day when we're inside of 90 days. It's going to be waterworks around here. Last call. Comments, questions, jokes, riddles, limericks, haikus, or expressions of gratitude. What do you got, Abby?
I don't know. I think I don't know. It's really weird knowing that we're already on the 13th snack. It's going by really fast, weirdly, and it's been fun. I remember when you were like, when you first, it kind of clicked for, I don't know if for me or for you, that me being like a really part of this project meant that I would now be part of these weekly live streams. When I remember I first like realized that I was doing that, I was like, oh, this is going to be really overwhelming, but it hasn't been. It's been very rewarding and healthy, and I've seen a lot of growth in that. Even after writing the book, I'm still just keeps on giving. So I'm really excited that we were 13 weeks done and we have, I can't do that math, but quite a few left. I'm excited to get into ego.
So
This was a very
we have,
difficult one for me to write.
yeah, well,
Writing all the ego ones.
yeah, you know what? Ego and discipline are coming. I think like this is the thing. We started off loving, and it's a love fest, and we've been loving on each other, and it's been
Yeah.
wonderful, and that's going to continue. But yeah, there's going to be more accountability coming through when we're talking
Yeah.
about ego and we're talking about discipline. We're talking about, and that's my brand. I want to, you know, the integrity game wants to make accountability non-threatening, and we have the last section of the book is the integrity section. So. You know, it's tough. I want more accountability in my life. I want more integrity in my life, and I'm asking the world to play with me. And I'm excited to get into a new flavor of KloobySnack, a
ego
new
is
theme.
difficult. Ego is well when you're writing, or when I was writing, I noticed that when I got down to the very end of what I was writing, because I didn't write in order of how they are in the book, I just kind of picked random ones. But when I was at the very like my last 10 or my last 5, it was all ego and discipline that I was just like, those ones were a little difficult. So I'm excited to talk about those. And I think that if within any of the KloobySnacks, there's going to be a lot of change and growth and difference in my initial response and my thoughts now, it's going to be in those 2 categories. So I'm excited for those conversations.
Yeah, me too. And feel free to invite your friends. You know, you said you're going to Coachella with Jax. We'll invite him to Sunday Night KloobySnacks. He's been on once, actually. That's right.
Yeah, I know he wants to come back on, but he's normally working during that time, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So, you know, so that'll be cool. Everybody's welcome to join the conversation. I mean, I was like focused today. I didn't do all of that stuff where I normally do the banners and put the link on and, you know, all of that. You know, there's so much product. Join us, but it's last call. We're already getting off, so don't join us. We hope you're watching the live stream or a recording of this in the future. And all of these recordings are going to end up in the arena, which is the membership site in the Integrity Game. So if you go to the integritygame.com and you go to the arena, you'll see the membership site. Maybe next week.
And they're on YouTube.
Oh yeah. These live streams are being posted on YouTube as well. That's right.
Yep.
So it's out there. It's
by other people.
Oh yeah. Oh good.
Yep.
Good. Searchable. We've got, and that's a shout out to Leslie, who's doing the YouTube channel and, you know, doing banners and descriptions and SEO descriptions and all of the stuff on the videos. It's pretty cool. We'll start to see more activity on YouTube. But I don't have anything else for tonight. Abby, do you? Anything else?
No.
We're still last call. All right. This has been cool. I didn't get as emotional as I thought I would, although I did have an eye twitch here and there. And yeah, when that line about, especially if this world's going to get kinder, especially before Abigail goes into it. And then I really do choke up on the dad jokes. Sometimes dad jokes get the last laughs. Yeah. Well, all right, Abby, have a great night. Thank you for joining me for another installment of KloobySnacks. And thank you everyone out there for chiming in, crumb for crumb. All right. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye.